Dave, congratulations. You're the first visiting team to win here since March. How pleased are you with the way you dug that one out today?
Yeah, pleased with the reaction at half time, because I think first half, from our own perspective, we were a little bit safe. You know what you're gonna face. You're gonna face balls forward and counter press and all those sorts of things. But I felt that we needed to try and make the game look like what we wanted it to look like. Even though you're gonna have to deal with that sort of stuff. I thought we showed miles better intent second half and had territory. And although we created a couple of chances in the first half, we were no way fluent enough. I thought second half, right from the get-go, really, we backed ourselves a little bit more to play where we want to, and get a deserved goal on the back of that.
Today was always going to be a very different game to the one that you faced last weekend. Much more of a physical battle, difficult conditions. How pleased are you, I suppose, with the way that your players stood up to that physical test?
Yeah, listen, I think we've got a good mix. We've got a decent sized team ourselves, so we should be able to deal with those sorts of things. I think the challenge when you, I suppose, are pressing a team and a team looks to play beyond that press, which was different to last week because we knew Cardiff would try and play through us, but we almost forced them to play beyond us as well. Rotherham are happy to do that because they get forward runners, and it's been relatively successful for them, especially here. You've still got to win your first contacts, win your duels, and drop on second balls. Again, first half, maybe because of our shape, I don't think we did that enough, or could have done that a lot more. And then what we did when we turned it over, we then just looked to hit the front and hit forward when I felt we could have got Jack and Benno in pockets. The way they set up, it was always going to be, in my opinion, wide centre-backs stepping in. Ethan will do that naturally, doesn't come as natural to Joe, but I thought he did it better second half, which opened things up. And obviously with Fev down that side rather than an out-and-out wing-back gives you more of a threat and creates some 1v1 situations. So you have to find different ways. Like I say, I would hope that with how we've recruited, we can deal with those things as well as play the game in a different way to try and get success.
And talk to us about those subs you made at half-time, because credit to them, they both came on and had an impact. And Jaden Fevrier in particular, as you mentioned there, you got him into some really good areas in that second half.
Yeah, like I said, I just think we didn't have enough intent. I think when you're playing against the 3-5-2, if you can get your wing-backs on the top line, then naturally a wide centre-back should be able to step in. They then have to change in terms of what they do. Does a midfielder jump? If a midfielder jumps, we should have had two sort of players in pockets that could hurt them. Benno was probably a little bit too high up in the first half at times and got himself into a fight with Zach Jules, which can happen at times, but at times you want him in little pockets and trying to cause them an issue. And same with Jack. And Jack probably, again, as in the reason, probably turned the ball over a little bit too much. He needs to be better in those moments. So you then make a decision, don't you? If we can have control of the game, we can keep Fed on the top line and keep Reece James pinned back and have 1v1 moments. If we don't, then he's back defending, which is not where you want him. Likewise with Malik, we've got to get him going. And we've put him in a position there where he would say it's a position where he can be a threat. Unfortunately, he's felt something in his back, had a little bit of a sort of spasm when we had to make a change. But some positive stuff when he came on, but still stacks to work on around what our expectations will be from him in and out of possession, and his reaction to disappointing moments when maybe he does give the ball away. And that was something we went through with Jack for a long time in the first season when he was here. Eventually the penny will drop, because if it doesn't, you won't get the opportunities for the penny to drop. So a work in progress still there, but like I say, some positive stuff.
You'll be delighted with the 3 points, but also how pleased are you with the clean sheet as well, the first one since the opening day?
Yeah, of course, that was important. Again, I've not seen it bad properly, but we probably get lucky because we don't defend the free kick well enough, and on a different day alignment doesn't give a decision, the balls end up in your goal and you go away once again after scored first with a draw, which would have been disappointing, especially on the back of last weekend. But we've always been that. We've had to make changes across the back line, which hasn't been ideal. We've got some young players in there that have potential but still need to defend better. And I suppose you can look at it and say, going to make mistakes. We can't afford them to make mistakes. There was mistakes made last weekend, which cost us 2 points. there was nearly mistakes made this weekend, which could have cost us another 2 points. People have to learn and learn quickly, because we're in a results-based business. We're in a development business in the fact we want players to get better, but we want to be competing at the right end of the table. We do that based on scoring goals and keeping clean sheets. We've scored in every game this season, so we will create chances, not at the hest of not keeping the ball out your net, and we need to, like I say, work harder at doing that. And it's in them moments when concentration is required and organisation is required. Doesn't matter how old, young you are, you need to be able to do that in order to progress your career.
There's obviously a change of goalkeeper today. I know you've said previously that goalkeeper is just the same as any other position on the pitch, but just talk us through the decision to bring Ben back in today.
I just felt we needed a reset. That was it. Again, I spoke to Corey. By no means a reflection on him last week. As you said, we've kept one clean sheet in the last 15. We've made some changes. I get that. I'm not in any way, shape or form saying that he's responsible for that. In fact, the opposite. If I look at the goal last weekend, which people will look at, and people will always look for a scapegoat, which again, I listened to Rob Edwards talk the other day around Morgan Whittaker coming on and their home or fans jeering him or booing him or cheering when he went off. I'm not for that at all. If I'm going to point fingers, Brad's as equally to blame for last week as a young defender. He needs to do better. But just felt it needed a reset. What people need to understand though is Corey's here for a reason. As I said, you'll get scapegoats. Well, the next scapegoat's just scored the winning goal today, funny enough, that people seem to get on the back of an awful amount. The Stockport County players. People have to move forward. There'll be people at this club that will be revered for an awful long time, but if we're being open about it, they might be revered for playing in the Conference North, playing in League One, and we've got a goalkeeper that we've brought into the club that we had inquiries about from the Championship in the summer. He's hopeful to get into a World Cup squad with Jamaica, and he's one of our group that we know. As with everything with a goalkeeper, the consequence of you making a mistake with a goalkeeper is the ball ends up in your net. And the further you move away from your goal, the less that is. But we need to stick, and we will stick together. I would urge, like I say, our fan base, largely who will do that, to understand, go back 6 months when Corey wasn't in the team and when Ben went off at Wigan and he produced a performance that won us the game and made them saves, and he produced performances all last year that got us into a playoff semi-final. That again, after that game, people look for a scapegoat. You can't do that. In order for us to be successful, we need every single player. Players want to go and perform, want to go and play for the club. He's made a commitment. He's moved up here with his family. Just had a young baby. Things couldn't be better for him. And we'll support him as best we can, because he'll be needed. Like I said, this isn't a first choice, second choice for us. And people, when I said that last year, probably laugh at it a little bit and say someone needs to be your first choice. No, they don't. They both played an important part for us. Last year, they both played an important part for us this year. I just felt that in this moment, we needed a reset. On the back then, getting a clean sheet to pat yourself on the back, absolutely not. But we've won the game and we move forward from that and make sure we take that into next weekend.
In terms of the goal you scored, no surprise about the two players involved, Ollie Norwood and Carl Wootton. Both of those players, in terms of the goal output this season, goals and assists, right up there at the top end of League One. Yeah,
and listen, Ollie with his obviously taking penalties and the free kick scored was a worldie. His set piece delivery was disappointing in the main this afternoon, but we know he has quality. We're still searching for the first goal from a corner, although I'm sure the staff will be trying to count that as a second phase corner that gets a goal. So maybe I'll loosen the demands on that, and it might be one to tick off. But a great ball in and into a good area. There was a good ball in previously, to be fair, and a really good header. And obviously to score in front of our away fans there, who travelled on a horrible day in brilliant numbers, and celebrate with them at the end. It hasn't been a long time, but it seems a longer time than maybe it should to be able to do that. So, like I say, a little bit of a reset for us. We block things off in terms of 9 games. That's our first 9 games. Our standards are really high. We don't want to lose any games, but you need to be a little bit realistic about the teams we've played over the first block. We've not been happy with our performances, which is the main bit that needs to change. Just need to get some consistency. Hopefully that can be a catalyst for that.
Just a couple of knocks to talk about. You mentioned Malik already. Tyler Onyango not involved today. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, fingers crossed. Tyler will be fine. He played last weekend with an injury that we didn't know about. He was then scanned early last week, and that confirmed the injury. Tyler wants to play, and thankfully, functionally, he's pretty good, and the symptoms don't replicate what the injury's telling us on a scan. So he's gone back with Everton. I believe he's done. Well, I spoke to him yesterday. Did some running with them yesterday, and hopefully do some more today. And fingers crossed, be back in with us on Monday and available to play next weekend. And Mal obviously is back. Just seized up. I've not really spoken to Jake or Luke about him, so we'll see how he is. But hopefully that settles.
Your next block of 9 starts next weekend at home to Reading. Good win for them today against Leyton Orient. But I suppose from your point of view, it's all about backing this up now, back at home.
Yeah, of course it is. I say different game, a different challenge against a team that have definitely changed since last year. We had, and we probably produced our best 2 performances against them last year, if I'm honest, home and away. We were fantastic, but it'll be a really, really tough game. I say our performance last weekend was really, really good. This weekend, a little bit more functional, second half good. We need to go and back that up. Anything we do needs to be on the back of putting pressure on people and competing, and then being more believing of what we can do in possession of the ball and backing ourselves. And that's what we'll try and do, regardless of where we play.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you.
Welcome. Cheers.